smell good.
Got your onions out then?
Got my onions out. I've got some chopped onions in here. Chopped up and just softening in butter. It's a lovely smell. It's one of the nicest smells in the world, actually, I think. Apart from babies when they've just been bathed. That's a nice smell too, isn't it? But onions in butter, just sautéed off, lovely. I'm making today, do you want to know what I'm making?
What are you making today, Lottie?
I am making my cheese and chutney tart. Okay, I haven't made this for a little while, but I used to make it a lot. It's not in my book, funnily enough.
Oh, I've probably had it then.
Yeah, you probably have had. But you haven't had it actually, I don't think, have you?
No.
I don't think you have. So the difference is, this is a great way to use up odds and sods of cheese in your fridge, okay? And the nice bit is, like, cheese and chutney sandwich is one of the best marriages in food, isn't it, really? So I'm going to do the same inside a tart, on top of some pastry, with a lovely eggy, rich cream, sort of tarty filling in there as well. But I'm going to make my own chutney first.
Well,
and
you're not using Branston out of the fridge?
No, I'm not. I could do, but I thought it'd be quite nice to make my instant chutney for everyone. This is in my book, you see? Yeah?
That'd just be cheating if you didn't know it.
Well, do you know, if you want to make this quickly, I actually don't think there's any problem with using that at all. And Branston is quite a good pickle, isn't it, really? Or if you've got another chutney in there, so you can do that, or you can make it yourself. The thing about chutneys generally is chutneys are something that you add a lot of sugar and vinegar to. You leave for about 3 months for it to mellow and mature, and it's something then that can stay in your cupboard for a long time. And be used because it's very well preserved. So this one is slightly different, well, it's quite a lot different actually, in the fact that I don't use as much vinegar and sugar. So you still have some form of preservation, but it'll only last about 10 days in the fridge. But you can use it straight away, whereas other chutneys that you make, you do need to wait for 3 months. So it's a brilliant chutney to make, very quick, very easy to do. And this recipe is in my book to go with a lovely chicken liver pate, which I make, which I must make sometime because it's really delicious there. So as I said, very quick to do, and you can eat it straight away, and it's lovely warm actually with a hunk of cheese and a slice of bread. So fry the little very finely chopped onion in some butter, and then I've also chopped up some apple. Now this is dessert apple. If I did have the choice, I would have 1 dessert apple and 1 cooking apple. Dessert apples keep their shape, and cooking apples sort of cook down and become quite sort of pureed and pulpy. And the reason that I'd like both in here is I would have the texture of the apple that's the dessert apple, which still keeps its shape, but also I'd have that lovely puree to give depth and body to the chutney from cooked apple. All right, I don't have it, so we just go for that. So I'm going to put this back onto the stove and just give it a little bit of a cook on the heat. It's on. And then I'm going to show you what else I've got. I've got just a handful of raisins that are going to go into there. Just a handful of dried raisins, not too many. And also some walnuts, which aren't in the original recipe, but I thought it would be quite nice to put in because walnuts go so well with cheese, don't they? And also it would give a little bit of crunch and, again, different texture within the tart. So just going to chop those up. And you're going to come back when my apple is cooked, and then I'm going to show you the next very quick stage. See, now that smells lovely too. Oh, apple and onion, just scrumptious. So I've given those about 5 minutes just to sort of soften a little bit with the onion, and it gives the onion a little bit longer to cook as well. And then I'm just going to throw in the raisins and the walnuts. They go in. Very nice. Put that in. And now this is the chutney side of it. So as I said, chutneys are sugar and vinegar, which you put in large amounts to help preserve. That's the whole thought process behind them. Then you get this lovely balance of acidity and sweetness. Okay, you want enough acidity to just tweak your cheeks, and pull you away from the sweetness. Okay, so there's this lovely balance in there, and you do that yourself by adding to your own taste, the sugar and some balsamic vinegar. That's what I'm using. I'm not using sort of sherry vinegar, whitewood vinegar, cider vinegar. It's balsamic, okay, which is slightly sweeter anyway. So I'm going to do a couple of spoonfuls of sugar, Then I'm going to add a couple of spoons of balsamic. Then I'm going to put this back onto the stove, let it all sort of cook down and melt a little bit, then taste it and see if I need to readjust it with sweet or acidity. Okay, so this is a really lovely, as I say, quick and easy chutney, and it's cool now. I'm going to use some of it for the tart, and then the rest I'll just put into a Tupperware and keep it in the fridge for about 10 days and then bring it out every so often when we want to have it. It has to be cool as well before it goes into the pastry, because otherwise it will melt the pastry and then you get yourself into a bit of bother. The pastry is, you know, my sour cream pastry, which I do as yoghurt pastry, and I've done a few times now in the films. If you want to see it again, it is, and the recipe is with the, what was it? It was the peach tart, wasn't it? Or the apricot frangipane tart. And I also used it in the chicken pasties too, didn't I? And I think even the Marmite dreams, but I did it with cream cheese then. So that's the pastry recipe you want. So you need to look at that film for it. It's lined and chilled in my tin. I thought I'd do it in the rectangular one. I haven't done this for a while. It'll be fun. Does it look like a big mouth? Okay.
Don't need to do that, Mother.
So much trouble. So much trouble. Right, put a little bit of the chutney along the bottom and then the rest over your head. What do you think? Yeah? Should we do that? So yes, just a little bit on the bottom. Well, as much as you want, really. If you're a big pickle fan, go for it. But I think that'll do. So I'm just going to squidge it along. As I said, this pastry is lovely and cool, okay? So I made it, chilled it, rolled it out, lined it, chilled it again. Okay, so nice and cold. All right, so I'm just going to, as I said, smooth it down all over the bottom. So there's your chutney. Okay. Next, cheese. Now, as I mentioned, this is really good to use up odds and sods of cheese. So if you've got lots of little bits in your fridge, grate them all together. We've got a couple of different types in here. We've got a cheddar, I think, just from the supermarket, and then we've got one of those lovely cheeses from James's Cheese, haven't we, left over, which was in a black wax, really lovely. So got a bit of a mix. Have them nice and strong, so you get lots of flavour, and just lay that over the top. Okay, like so. I'm just going to leave a little bit, which I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with in just a second. Just a little bit left on the plate, the rest in there. And make sure it's all over. You don't want any little bit that doesn't have the cheese in it. So be in trouble. We'll be in trouble if one person doesn't get it. So I'm now going to make a little mix with a couple of eggs. Now I've no idea how much this is going to take because I've not made it in this before, so it's trial and error. But I think 2 eggs should do it, with a little bit of milk and a touch of creme fraiche as well. Oops. Okay, yeah, come out. Okay. Yes, as I said, just a little bit of milk, a little soupçon, a wallop of creme fraiche. You don't have to put that in if you don't want to. We happen to have some, so I thought it'd be quite nice to go in. Not too much, just enough to enrich in it. Don't forget you've got a lot of cheese in there and egg and everything anyway. Salt and pepper. Very low on salt, John. I'm having to resort yet again to my pink Himalayan. This is my emergency salt. Everyone says how marvellous pink Himalayan salt is. It is the same salt that you give horses for their salt blocks. It's just from the inside of a mountain. I like a corny sea salt myself, or a hallamon, that's quite nice. Alright, little bit of Dijon. I say a little bit because actually there's not very much in here. But just a little soupçon, just to bring out the flavour of the cheese. It always helps mustard to do that. A little bit of that in there. You don't want it to clash too much with the mustard, with the pickle. So you don't need too much, but just give this a beat. If you're thinking the milk looks very thin, it's because I wasn't allowed to use the semi-skimmed because John likes it in his tea. I was only allowed to use the skimmed, which is what I have in my coffee. Is that nice of me that I didn't have it? why
No,
should
I
just-
told you not to use
Yeah, I
my
wasn't
semi.
allowed. I'm gonna say. Choose your battles, ladies and gentlemen. Wasn't worth it. All right, so pour this over. Add a little bit more milk, because judging by that, I think I might need a little bit more in there, just to cover it all. There we go. Let's see. I think it's about right, actually. That's worked out quite okay. But maybe I'd need a little bit more, but I don't actually. That's fine. Right, finally, a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Mix it with the leftover cheddar that I mentioned, that I'd left on the plate. Just mix those together, and then we're just going to sprinkle those over the top so we have a really lovely cheesy crust. And then I'm going to bake this in the oven at about 180. I have no idea for how long, until the pastry is cooked and the middle is set. So it might be that I cook it at 180 initially and then just turn it down to make sure that all the pastry is nice and golden brown, okay? But I'll let you know how long it takes in there, as I normally do. Now, I don't have a baking tray long enough to put this in, because I think I prefer, because of the loose bottom, to put it on something. John suggested I use an upturned baking tin. So this is either going to be a fabulous idea or total disaster. We will see. But I'm going to put it into the oven now, and just in case it is a disaster, can you come back? Done. Done. Out the oven. Off its little tray, onto a board. Ta-da. And now, I'm going to have a little slicey of this delicious tart. It's really hot. It's literally just come out of the oven. So let's have a look. Can you see? I haven't got my glasses on, John. Can you see the chutney at the bottom with the cheese and the eggy bit? Doesn't that look lovely? Does that look lovely in scrummy doodles?
Looks lovely.
Do you want to give it a go? Well, I'll tell you what. If I eat this now with that hot chutney, I'm really going to know about it. So let me just go that little edge bit. Try that first. Milk it. Oh, good. Do you know what that's worth? A wiggle cheese dance. Delicious. Lovely. So good. So crummy.
How long in the oven?
About 25 minutes at 180, and I just turn the temperature down for about 5 minutes just to finish off and make sure the pastry's all cooked all the way through, which it is, right to the bottom. Can you see? There is no soggy bottom on there. That is a beautifully baked bottom. Do you like a baked bottom, John? Am I annoying? Yeah. It's cooled down a bit, and I don't think I said how nice it was when I tasted it the first time round. But I'd just like to tell you that it really is completely delicious. I mean, it's got that lovely crispy bottom, as we said, but that cheese on top, and with that lovely homemade chutney, it is a marriage made in heaven. Honestly. Lovely. Lovely. Lovely.